Hey, this is Dr. Aaron with Liberty MD. Welcome back to Out of Network and Into Wellness. Today, we have Owen Reed with us. He's got a very exciting story. He's pretty excited about his health, and I hope you can catch that energy.
So I first came in to see you would have been December of 23. It would have been my dad telling me to, family history of cholesterol, come in, get checked out. And so we went through an initial lab work and everything came back and, we were like, you're doing all right. We just kind of went on down the road from there and came back. I got on a cholesterol medication. I was sitting, as you told me, right around 267 when I came in. And so then a few years later, would have been spring of 24, I decided to come back. I was having some stomach pains, troubles. And I, of course, made the mistake of Googling my symptoms. And that led me down the path.
Fatal mistake. Yes.
I was on death's doorstep walking in here. And we had deduced that I had stomach ulcers, troubles from a long list of different bad habits and diet that I was going through. And so you prescribed me Petonics and I started doing that, and it really I didn't know if it was making too much difference until we got rolling on this carnivore and fasting lifestyle that really helped me go from where I was to where I am now.
So if I remember right, you were on a couple, maybe 2 or 3 different medicines. You're on a cholesterol medicine, you're on Petonics, might have been on a second GI med, just to kind of help you get through. And you were scared to death. You were scared to death that you were going to die.
There was these constant numb ache in my stomach that I could not put my finger on. And I dealt with it for probably about 6 months because I didn't want to find out either because I was nervous about what the implications were going forward.
And then, at that point we checked some labs because you were scared. And I don't agree with scaring patients. I know that all the commercials on TV and all the drug commercials, all the stuff that comes out on Facebook or when you Google your symptoms, it scares the heck out of you. And it tells you could have this, and you're always going to die. And you came in and you're pretty convinced that you didn't have long to live. And that's scary for people, and if they try and get the information that they can get from the internet, it really just doesn't, it's just, I don't know. It just causes a lot of fear and anxiety. And that's what we really don't want. We don't want people to be scared of their health.
Well, and we got started taking the medication and that was going to help heal, but there was other root causes to the problem. And I wanted to get into, and like we discussed, and treat that in a different manner because, like you say, big medicine, they'd be happy for me to just take a pill for something for the rest of my life. And I just did not want to get into that. I wanted to figure out a different way to do that. And I had dabbled in this, what I do. And then we got into it there, April of 24. And I went from April to 24, right there weighing around 260, 270 to by August of 24 down to 200 doing this lifestyle. And it completely healed my stomach troubles. And I also, it was.
See, I kind of felt like at the time you came in, your cholesterol was really elevated. Your liver enzymes were elevated mildly. And that's what we call, and your blood sugar wasn't high, but it was kind of all over the place. And we call that metabolic syndrome. And for metabolic syndrome, commonly, there's 3 or 4 different medicines. They use a cholesterol med, they use a blood pressure med, and I think your blood pressure was borderline at that time too. and then they'll do various other medications. But just like you said, that's pretty much for a lifetime. They say that you're supposed to coach on diet and exercise, but they don't train us on how to do that. And this is you're just a perfect example of what I see and the kind of patients that I deal with on a regular basis, and how you're coming in and you're just scared about your health. You didn't even like to come into the doctor, if I remember right. You were scared to death, sweating.
I hadn't been to a physical in 10 years, probably since I was in high school. Right. So it had been a long time since I had even been to a general practitioner just to see what was going on. So I remember it was Memorial Day weekend there, 2024. I'd been thinking about this, and that week I got started on. I cut out all processed foods, all sugar. It was very scorched earth. It sounds extreme. It's really, and once you get where you want to be, it's easy to maintain because once you cut out a lot of those processed foods, your body is not just screaming for you to eat all the time. When you're eating really good whole foods, eggs, steak, chicken, just one ingredient foods, and cutting out processed seasonings that have the maltodextrins, the all the different process that your body just does not respond to well. And I think we discussed that might have been part of my liver enzyme problems was because I was digesting foods that just were
That
attacking my system from the inside.
ultra processed food, sugar, lactose, gluten, all of that causes inflammation, which actually has to be sorted out and dealt with in your liver. And so my feeling initially I think we did like an ultrasound to like make sure it wasn't your
Hmm.
gallbladder, a few things like that because you were pretty convinced that there was a problem. Um, but then all of those foods are really just really bad for you. One extra tablespoon of sugar per day causes your body to go into an inflammatory state. If you add alcohol to that, if you add fatty, fatty foods from ultra processed, that actually makes it worse. And then, so for most people, their metabolism and their milieu just doesn't respond, and so they're in an inflammatory state, and that's what you came in and in that state.
I was consuming everything was cooked in seed oils, and I did take ibuprofen regularly. I drink alcohol. There was all kinds of different things that I. It was just I was a poster child for bad bad diet and behavior, and it was just it finally was catching up with me. And after that, we switched to I cut out all the seed oils, cooked everything in beef tallow that we make from scratch, and did cut out the sugar and the bread and painkillers like ibuprofen. I just scratched that. Just I am not going to take that. I also would I was a big hot sauce guy and a real hard I mean, and I would coat everything in it. And I lived in a perpetual state of just spice and also eating late at night. I was working night shifts. I would come home from night shift and at 11 o'clock midnight, eat until I was full. I'm not talking just satisfied and then go straight to bed. And I would wake up just, oh,
Yeah.
and I think back, I was like, man, you really just quit doing that and you just feel so much better all the time.
So tell us about your transition. Have been watching you for the last couple of years. I've been kind of on a journey of my own, but been watching you. Just so proud you and your father have
Yeah.
done extremely well.
He loves to his constant saying he's I was 13 pounds away from 3 bills, he said, and he switched to the same lifestyle that I've done, and he weighs less than I do now. I mean, he's right around, and it's a really you feel good all the time, and it's actually really easy and honestly more affordable because I spend less money on groceries now for the family than I did before because of all the junk that we would buy constantly. And it's just, you just, it's so much easier to provide for the family, just a real clean eggs. I didn't, and I still include cheese and dairy with that. It's not but it's just whole foods and you can cut out a meal a day because you just don't feel the need to consume. And I got started there Memorial weekend and I would eat once a day. 24-hour fasting became a real regular thing for me. I had intermittent fasted for years, just eating lunch and dinner. And then I went to a pretty well regular 24 hours because that's all I felt like eating. If you ate a steak and 3 eggs, you were on top of the world. So,
N-
grant you that's not everyone either.
Right.
Now,
But
when you first started fasting, do you find yourself just like consuming a bunch of junk afterwards, after your fast was done, or did you
no, because
really?
I would plan ahead for that. You plan ahead, just have stuff ready to go. Meal prepping was a big thing because it's just yeah, if you leave it up to junk and it's easy, like and I stay off the strip. I don't eat fast food. really. Um, and so I went on like that for about, really, that went in about 4 months. I went from that weight I'd been at really since about 2019. That's when I got there. I was there for about 5 years, and in about 4 months was able to shed that off, and I felt great. I stopped taking the protonics. I still kept taking my cholesterol medication because we had not redone blood work at that time.
Right.
And I continued through the winter doing that. And I've even done some of the longer fasts like you guys have recommended, the 72 hours. Now that was difficult, but I felt like $1 million after I got done.
Yeah.
It just was a total system reset that I would recommend to anybody to try to do. And it seems daunting. You have to work your way up
Yeah.
to that. I've explained to, I had a friend of mine say, "We so you can just eat whatever you want. You can eat cupcakes and cookies." And I said, "No, because that sugar reacting in your system, your body is just going to be screaming for you to eat something because it tells your brain, hey, we need more of this right now."
Well,
So,
you go back to the inflammation that you had before the fast. You know, it like the
oh,
72-hour fast. When I did it, I didn't have any kind of inflammation, but when you eat those processed foods, it just comes right back.
oh, I did drink coffee during my 72-hour fast. That was the one thing, but black,
And that's
just
allowed. I do that. That's
Yeah.
on my fast. I do that. Coffee and tea.
I saw somebody was talking about, they said, a gentleman, he said, I convinced my wife to do it, but he said the only way she would do it is if she could still have coffee while they were going through it. And I thought, yeah, that'd be a deal breaker for me too.
Yeah.
But just black coffee, not a milkshake from Starbucks.
Too many
That is
people.
not coffee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Too many people. I mean, the fast, they think about it and they feel like, gosh, I could never do this. But honestly, I mean, so the physiology behind what you're doing, the intermittent fasting actually increases your ketosis. And so your ketones, you're actually getting your energy from ketones, okay, versus getting energy from glucose. And the ketones are a lot more effective, especially on your brain. Okay. The ketosis causes BDNF, brain derived neurotropic factor, and actually helps your brain to work better. The fast also kills cancer, um, and kills like within the 24s that you're doing on a regular basis, a few times a week, causes autophagy. You're basically getting rid of all the dead bad cells. There's so many really great benefits to fasting, as well as the carnivore diet.
Now, can you overdo fasting? For intermittent fasting. Sometimes, like when I first started, I started Monday through Friday.
Right.
I would do intermittent fasting. Is that overkill, or do you have to do it like
I've
once?
had, I don't know that like I haven't come across people that say that I've had a few people that have done what Owen's done, actually more than a few dozen people that have done what Owen's done and gotten off their diabetic meds. Fasting also decreases your insulin resistance. So that's huge for people. Um, and just go into just a little bit of physiology here. So basically, normally with a normal American diet, okay, you're having sugar and carbs. I mean, there's just the food pyramid's full of them. They say that at the very top is cereal and milk,
Yeah.
right at the top, and then towards the bottom is your protein. Well, it's really just the opposite of what you ought to be doing. And so when you eat sugar, that turns on your insulin. Okay. And people think, well, insulin, that's just something your body makes that's good for you. Well, actually, what insulin tells your body to do is it tells your body to store sugar as fat. Okay. So you go in and you're storing all this fat versus on the carnivore versus in the intermittent fasting, you're actually chewing up fat. Your body doesn't have any sugar to chew up, so it chews up fat, causes ketogenesis, causes the ketones in your body actually work better than the glucose. So with a carnivore, you can tell you don't you don't have those crazy cravings, do you? I
No,
mean,
it would, yeah, that was one thing that really helped is about a month into it, it was gone. I was not just constantly craving some snack, some another meal. It went away. Brain fog went away. I felt way more clear headed all the time. I slept better, got better sleep, and I've more productive. There's days that I have now that I thought I could not do this back in the I wouldn't my body wouldn't stand up to this.
plus you do like, I mean, we all know Owen is having Smoke and O's, which is like the best barbecue. And how many meals did you serve last month? You said,
There was more on the calendar than there were days in September. There was lots of 2 and 3 meals a day.
wow.
Just this last Saturday, for example, I got up at 3 a.m. and got out the door to start work, and I walked in the kitchen. It was a little after 1 a.m. when I made it back. So it was a long, hard day of work. Um,
And you couldn't have done that. I mean, as bad a shape as you were in, the first time you came into the clinic.
that was, yeah.
I don't think you could have done days like that. I mean, I don't know. But you tell me.
I would work long hours before in the Dairy Queen business. But it wasn't the same kind of work. It was very repetitive work that, while it was hard work. It didn't take as much. I have to be thinking now about what I'm doing just as hard as I am working physically. And it's on your feet all day long, back and forth, tendon fires and prepping we had 3 meals this last Saturday that there was 3 different menus in 3 different locations. And to try to coordinate everything and remember, there was still a few things that it was like, hey, on your way, grab this. So, and I have people ask me all the time, how are you so skinny? I say, I eat what we serve all the time. It is whole foods. It is low in sugar, no seed oils involved. It's as try to make it as whole foods as we can.
And to kind of explain to you guys what seed oils are, basically most of the stuff that you can get in the store
Oh,
is seed oils. I mean, I'll just tell you what's not seed oil. What's not seed oil is beef tallow, uh, olive oil, avocado oil, coconut oil. Those are the ones that are okay. The rest of them actually cause inflammation in your body, because what they do with seed oils is they clean them with hexane, and so that they don't ferment, and that's actually, seed oils are really really difficult on your liver and also on your GI tract. They did not have any Crohn's or ulcerative colitis before seed oils came out.
So you sell dairy?
no.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
yeah, we did. It was a family business for 40 years and then sold it this last year. I made a move into what I'm doing. I built that business for about 2 years, and then I was so busy, so much stuff lined up that we just said, we're out of here. And went from selling well, they swapped out the sugar in the mix for high fructose corn syrup.
Right.
So it's not even real sugar anymore,
Right.
which is even high. I mean,
Right.
I look for products that
High,
say
high,
high fructose corn syrup. I look for that label on the marker that is not in there. I would rather serve real sugar. I want
right.
the real thing.
Right.
And it's a crazy that today it's
Cane sugar, is that the real sugar? Cane sugar?
it's a luxury now that it actually is real sugar.
Right.
And it's like, if I'm going to serve a sweet, I would prefer it to be the real thing.
Right.
I mean, it's just so much better. And are we rolling again?
Yeah. We can
The-
start over.
Well, that's another thing.
High
These
fructose corn syrup is the death of our country.
well,
High
and if
fructose corn syrup is the worst. I mean, and the seed oils.
look at how folks lived for so many years. Obesity in this country was not a problem, really not a thing. And I mean, grandma cooked with bacon fat, and they ate eggs and cheese, and there was not. And then you look, what was it about the 70s that we switched over, because this was the healthy alternative,
Right.
and now it is just a slew of health issues across the country. And it was a lot of things that I was beginning to suffer with, because it was just that was just how I lived too.
Yeah.
And
Well, it's easy. I mean, it's easy, and you got kids, et cetera, et cetera. You got two beautiful daughters. And so, I mean, it's like, what are you going to do? You stop at McDonald's, they have a toy with it. You stop at
It's
Trader.
incredibly convenient.
Yeah.
It's
You stop and get ice cream. You stop and get this. You stop and get that. And our whole world's set up around food. Come over and let's have a feast. Come over and let's have dinner. Come over and let's have this. Come over. Whereas I think a better way to do it is families that plan an activity and then would have a picnic with it or something like that that's healthy. I think you could change your whole family's health by doing stuff like that.
oh 100%.
I think it slow death in the 70s, 80s. The obesity problem started happening. By 90s hit, we were full fledged into obesity, but like meals used to be a communal event.
Mm-hmm.
You used to have a connection with other human beings and family members and stuff like that. Now it's just fast. It's not like it used to be.
So what we do all the time, well, not we, Wendy. What Wendy does is we go to these things, and she does like a vegetable platter. She does a fruit platter. She does all the so that people have that option, and it's kind of interesting to watch the people that don't eat off of the vegetable platter, the fruit platters, and the this and the that, and to watch the people that do, because it's just really interesting if you just sit back and watch what they choose for their food. Like I've watched you uh, before eat, and you'll grab a big grab a big slab of brisket or something like that, and then whereas you watch some of these people that are overweight and are unhealthy, and they're having all the cakes and the cookies and the sweets and the carbs and the blah and all that stuff. And it's pretty interesting if you go to some of those bigger meals, especially like at the Cahola parties, et cetera. You watch what people eat because they got a choice of pretty much everything.
Mm-hmm.
And the people that are eating whole foods are actually the healthy ones.
Yeah,
It's kind of fun to watch.
barbecue almost feels like cheating, though.
It was for many years we discussed that. It's like you're eating nothing but brisket and ribs and pulled pork, and it's just like that. It's got to be just terrible for you. And it's actually, as it turns out, not as bad as we always thought, because I've been able to get away with. You can eat a pound of brisket, and now you might be a little sluggish after that because it is a very rich meal. But it I've always that's I gravitated towards cooking that because I wanted to have stuff on the table that I wanted to eat. That was something years ago, I thought I'm going to do this because I want to make sure that I've got, and now everywhere we go, that's what I do, even when I'm not working. It's like, that's what we do on Sunday evenings. That's what I'm going to do. Go home tonight for the Chiefs game, and I'm going to put something on tonight. And it is more work because it's not fast and easy and convenient. But that ties me back into a whole nother point of, it was a cartoon that it was just a picture. You and I discussed it.
Mhm.
There's two windows, and one of them is surgery and pills to fix your problems. And there's a line out the door, and one other guy with just a lifestyle change. It's work on yourself. And there's nobody standing at that window. And it is so much easier, and your life will be so much better for it if that's the route you go, because you feel better. And it seems difficult to commit to, because sometimes people say like, oh, you just don't eat. What are you going to do when you start eating again? Your metabolism. It's like, once you get down the path, it's impossible to go back. And it's just too easy once you get to doing it.
Right. And I mean, that's what that's what I have against the American health system as it is currently. It's all about meds. It's all about, they want you on those meds. I just can't stress that enough. They want you on that medication because they're making money.
It's all the money. Follow the
They're
money
making
trail.
money. And, it's like, did I make any, what? We did a couple sets of labs on you, 2 or 3 sets of labs through the years.
Mm-hmm.
Did that make any money? Not really.
No.
It's a $30 $40 a pop.
I was gonna say this is the cheapest I've ever paid for labs
Yeah.
without insurance.
Right.
My last labs before I came over here was $150.
Right.
Yeah.
Your copay,
My
probably.
copay, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so,
That's crazy.
people are scared. They're scared about this. And they're scared about how much healthcare is going to cost. And they're scared about being able to afford their meds. And they're scared about, well, it doesn't cost you anything to be healthy. You
Mm,
know, it really doesn't. I mean, like you said, the Whole Foods might seem a little more expensive when you go to get them. All right.
mm-hmm.
But once you've figured out how to cook and do the preparation and that kind of thing, it's actually cheaper.
Sometimes we'll go to the store and buy this one singular piece of meat that will be $100, which grocery prices right now they are astronomical. It is inflated. But and then I'll think about it, it's like we fed 15 people tonight for $100.
Right.
And it was just like if we'd gone out somewhere or done something more extravagant, it would have been far more expensive. So it really it's so much better. I mean, I cannot stress it enough that I
Look,
would recommend it to anyone who's thinking about it.
and that $100 piece of meat will feed a family of 4 for quite a while.
Oh,
If you fed 15 people off that,
oh,
yeah.
I've done it within the last month. We've had it'll be that's about what it'll get. It's about 15. And there was now that's not counting your sides and everything else, but that was the protein for the meal. And that's an expensive one. That's you can go out and buy a pack of chicken thighs for $10 and feed the family the same way. And
Right.
it was equally as it was delicious. It's just and I tell people YouTube is your friend. If there's something that seems daunting or intimidating, just hop on YouTube. That's how I've learned most of everything I've done outside of trial and error.
So that's
So
how you learned how to cook. So I mean, like,
yeah.
you got to understand that this guy is like the best cook that, I mean, honestly, one of the best barbecuers, and just he can prepare for hundreds of people and have everything ready at the same time. I can never do that. I could, well, I've been on the rib contest, a few things like that. It's like, oh, and you got this. Can you help me with this? Can you, whatever. He's got it all together, but, why don't you tell us about your business and how that started?
It was actually my parents for high school. My high school graduation bought me a big green egg. I was kind of dabbling in it, and I started cooking on that just for family parties. And then fast forward a few years later, we went tailgating and just cooking at the house all through college. That I decided to kind of jump into this world. That I bought a small trailer smoker, and I had it for about a year before I got asked, "Hey, will you cater this party?" And I thought, "Yeah, well, why not?" And then it went over so well that I mean, the first year or so was pretty slow. I mean, slowly building a business. You don't have your name out there. To now, we're definitely not as busy as we'd like to be. There's always want to do
But
more.
you're feeding thousands a week, are you not?
Depends on the week. Not this week.
Okay.
Not this week, but some weeks we do have some really nice numbers. We get to hang out with the most wonderful people. It's always a really fun atmosphere and part. I mean, I feel very blessed to be a part of people's big day.
Plus, you're serving the stuff that you believe in.
Oh, I 100%. We've discussed this as a family. We jumped from serving ice cream at the Dairy Queen, which is I mean,
That's a whole nother ice cream and milk is a whole nother podcast for
Yeah.
me.
but and then we jumped to serving this that is just a whole different product that if I didn't like something, I wouldn't offer it to folks if I didn't think. And occasionally now we do serve up some sweet desserts with things, and that's just part of it. It gets tied into a meal, and
Right.
I just bite the bullet and go on down the road. But no, it's been a fun ride so far, and it I have folks ask me all the time on the buffet line, like, how do you stay skinny having all this food in front of you? I said, that's exactly how I was just eating this right here on the table. So, and I don't think anybody believes me, but that is the truth.
So over how many months did your transition take? I know you kind of said a couple
We
months or something like that.
from I think about it all. It was from Memorial Day 2024 to Labor Day 2024. It was that 4 month period in there and I've been at that same weight from that time. And then I think we started talking about it around the first year that I wanted to hop off my cholesterol medicine. And we kind of were thinking with the way things were going. So then I came in here, it was April of 25 here. We redid the labs
Right.
and it was just night and day difference.
Yeah, you went up to around, your cholesterol was up around 300, your LDL was up around 140, 150, and the cholesterol came down to 170. The HDL, which is the good cholesterol, doubled. It went to 80 something. Your LDL, which is the bad cholesterol, um, and I did microparticles the second time, went down to like 60. I mean, it was crazy, you know. Liver enzymes came back perfect. They were mildly elevated before. Everything just kind of, that's the way it's supposed to be. Now, I gotta say that not everybody needs to do the carnivore. Okay, I mean, I've got a few patients, like 3 or 4 actually in the clinic, that have familial hyperlipidemia. So do talk to your doctor, you know, or talk to me or email me, because not everybody's right for the carnivore. But that's just one great example of what you can do for yourself and how you can change your life.
And once you get to where you want to be, you can relax a little bit. Say you're at somewhere and you want to treat yourself. Go ahead. If once you have gone through the work, done the process, you can relax a little bit. It's
That's
not,
right.
I mean, but you feel so good, you just want to hop on and keep doing exactly what you're doing. It's just like, just keep chipping away at it. A thing that got me through a lot of times was, I'll have it next time. I'll have one tomorrow.
Right.
And it was just, and you just do that every day. Don't try to don't set an unrealistic goal for yourself. Just,
Well, I kind of tell people that, if you can go the 90-10 or 80-20, where 80% of the time, 90% of the time you're eating well, and then the 10% or 20%, it's like, yeah, I mean, I'm the same way. I lost 40, 50 pounds ish now, but it took me over a year. Um, and I didn't go full carnivore, but mostly I just kind of watched my protein and my macros. Um, and I still do some vegetables, et cetera, which kind of help with my diabetes. So everybody's different. Everybody fits a pair of pants a little bit different. So talk to somebody and please make sure they're knowledgeable about this. If somebody just says, well, your cholesterol is high, you need a pill, I'd kind of get a jaded eye with that, you know?
I think it's important also too that if, like you said, not it's not for everybody, but if you tweak it a little bit, it could be yours. You can make it yours. Like, how many pounds did you lose over that 4 month
it
period?
was right. Let's say 60.
60 pounds.
And it happened very quickly because I dropped the first month, dropped 20 to 30 pounds. I was almost obsessed about it at that point because I was checking all the time, and it would be incredible just over and I will say this, I didn't incorporate any like gym exercise. I don't go work out or anything, but it's all day manual. You're working you're on your feet. You're going back and forth.
You're probably a
And
20,000 step a day guy, I would
it
guess.
wouldn't well, and sometimes I do spend a lot of time some days standing in the same spot, trimming meat. I'm just there I am. I'm right here. I'm working on something. But I'm up and I'm around back and forth. You know, every time I haul a case of brisket in the house, you curl that thing a couple times while you're going in, and those are 80-pound boxes of beef. And
Yeah, I've seen you curl your meat several times. It's kind of, sorry, that sounded kind of bad, but
I'm glad you
but he
realized
does
it.
his workouts. He does his workouts while he's carrying the big boxes of meat.
there's so I do, and I never did count calories either. When it came time for be it lunchtime, dinner time, whatever it was, I mean, I would have whatever I was eating because I wasn't worried about what was in it. I would just have as much of it as I felt like. There was some nights we'd grill out chicken wings, and it'd be like, I'm just gonna eat wings until I'm full, and that was
And that's a lot of wings.
Yeah.
but it's excellent.
Yeah.
So it's just, and that tells you can still eat really good things. Just change up. I don't coat them in a sugary rub or a sugary sauce. I mean, so that's another thing that I like to emphasize with
Yeah, and
folks.
you said that you cook with just salt and pepper, right?
Oh, salt and pepper. No, nobody believes me either.
Uh,
But but salt and pepper's to me an excellent combo, and a good cut of beef or pork, even chicken. You know, a little paprika for color and garlic doesn't hurt
Right.
either.
Right.
But no,
No sauces. No barbecue.
I make all my sauces from scratch. I make three or four different kinds of barbecue sauce that we serve. That they're all scratch made. Um, you know, and
They're really good.
I do
You gotta
enjoy
try 'em.
those as I enjoy them as well. But
But you don't paste your
nope,
meat with stuff
it's
like
always served on the side.
right.
So because everybody will always ask me, like, are you gonna be offended if I put barbecue sauce on this? And hey, I made it. Go ahead and go to town on it for all I care. So yeah, fast forward here to this year, we came back, we did that blood work, and I've been off cholesterol meds. I haven't taken I don't take anything day to day. So, and again, you know, going back to cholesterol, all those foods are something that you would have been told for years by all health professionals that, I mean, that's you're going to the grave with that.
Right.
And it actually went down for me, just cutting out a lot of other things.
Well, and then like you know, you can actually I've gotten a lot of people started on carnivore, and then I've switched them to the keto diet, you know, where you add some fruits and vegetables, etc. And I've had pretty good success with that as well. So,
Mhm.
I mean, again, I want to make sure that everybody knows that this doesn't work for everybody, but the commitment that you had, and I remember that we had a long talk, and it's like, dude, you know, you're either gonna not live very long, or when you were scared to death already, it's like, or you can just change things, and you did that day, you know, yeah, so proud of you for doing that, and that kind of thing warms my heart. It makes what I do feel good.
Well, and I've probably warned some folks out around me. I know Elizabeth, I know she's sick of hearing me talk about it, but I've tried to tell everybody, I said, this is it. This is the way. And it works, and you feel great all the time. And again, yeah, I'm not saying don't eat fruits and vegetables. I mean, if that's your thing, have at them. I
Right.
mean, you know, that's not going to hurt you one bit. I wouldn't think.
No,
But yeah, it's mainly just the processed and the fried everything. Now, and I say this as I'm about to offer fried chicken and things like that that we cook in beef tallow.
right.
So I don't feel as bad about it, but it's just I would recommend it to anybody and everybody.
Yeah, your beef tallow is bomb. It's really good.
So for those that don't make their own beef tallow, where can we get beef tallow at?
It can be I just saw some on the shelf at Blueston. It is not cheap.
Okay.
Is I have considered jarring it and selling it. I never have sold it to the public because it's all rendered down from our brisket fat that I trim off of our briskets, and then I grind it and render it down into just a really clean. When it heats up, it's just a clear golden oil. That it's just that's how the fast food chains used to do it back in the day. My dad, everybody's told me McDonald's back in the day was night and day better than it is now.
Yeah.
With the French fries were cooked in it. I mean, it is very expensive to buy. I said it was $16 for 11 ounces.
Wow.
I mean, and it's not honestly, but people also used to save their bacon fat in a jar and use that. That's another great flavoring agent.
The owner of the Daily Station was telling me that now that you explain the process, how you render it down,
Mm-hmm.
you know, that's what he does with his meat, and he'll use it in his cooking. Is
Well, at $5-6 a pound, it's a pure waste product that would otherwise just be going in the trash.
yeah,
And so that's just a way to get something out of it. You know, getting a meat grinder was and I tell people, you know, if you had a KitchenAid in there, you can buy a grinder at Walmart and you can do small batch things. You know, we make our own hamburger from scratch that way. And it really, again, it goes back to this more work to it. But at the end of the day, you're getting something out of, you know, and it doesn't have to be brisket fat. You can go to the store and they'll practically give you beef fat at the store, and you can just cut it up in little pieces and either put it in a pan in the oven and just let it cook until it stops bubbling, because it'll eventually just cook out it'll cook out the moisture. You have to let the water get cooked out of it. It has to be crispy all the way through.
Yeah.
But that's a way you can get that, and I would highly recommend it to everyone.
And I think beef tallow too, you can get at higher temperature than you can. Like again, I said avocado oil, olive oil, coconut oil, but beef tallow you can get up to pretty hot without it
Without
burning it,
turning it. Yeah, I believe you me, I have done it. You can definitely get it done.
right?
But it's a fantastic oil to cook with. I mean, and we cook with a lot of butter too.
Mhm.
Kerrygold Irish butter, excellent. It's really good. You can eat it right off the stick. It's that good. And I recommend that to everyone too. Just a tablespoon of butter in a skillet too. Go a
Right.
long way cooking eggs, vegetables, any proteins. Um, so that's another really good option I would tell folks as well.
So what was it that was, like I try and talk to patients, like you got to figure out your why. You got to figure out why you want to be better. For me, my why was I wanted to make sure that I could wrestle with my grandkids. I wanted to make sure I could ski with them. I wanted to make sure I could run with them, to hike with them, to do all those things instead of having them visit me in a nursing home a couple times a year, on holidays, et cetera. So my why was my grandkids. What was your why? What was your why?
It was just that pain, the symptoms I was dealing with. I was really tired of it. I wanted to be better for myself, and I feel better all the time now. And it's hard to put a finger on a grand scheme because I had gone through my 20s mostly thinking that, I'm not going to live to be 86. I mean, it's just like, hey, one of these days I just, this will all catch up with me. And I just had lived with that just kind of in the back of my mind. And now I feel like I kicked that can down the road a ways now. And it's, I've got three young children at home that I would like to be around for a long time with them. And, they like to make fun of my oldest likes to make fun of me. She gets old pictures out of me and look at you, Dad. And I mean, and it's just she's very amused by it. And I'm almost horrified when I see him. But and I'm thinking like I never thought I'd be shamed by a 6-year-old, but here we are. So
Wait till they get in their teens; they'll still shame you.
oh, it's coming and it's going to be worse.
And beautiful kids too. Beautiful, beautiful kids.
I think I appreciate that, sir. I'd like to pass on a lot of this to them as well. I try to work on them. It is easy to let them just do the convenient thing, but and when you're a kid, you can get away with that too.
Right.
That's when you're a teenager in high school, and you're kind of bulletproof.
Right.
And I kind of had acted like I was still that way, and I feel that way more so now than I ever have. It's kind of like there's not much that I can't get away with now. Is how I feel going around.
Put a lot more life into your years, and it's impressive.
That's awesome.
And it's really it's really good too. I mean, just a little bit of extra work, and the time with I mean, your family will appreciate it. I guarantee everyone will enjoy the little bit of extra work. And again, like I've said, it seems daunting at first, expense wise, but after you get into doing it, you leave the grocery store, you've got really good groceries. Stay on the outer edge. Don't go down the aisles. That's where all the stuff is. And just stay out around the cooler.
Okay. Stay out on the outer edge. I'll have to
Yeah.
remember that.
Stay in the cooler because that's where the good stuff is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know like going to Casey's, for example, I
Oh,
went through Casey's again the other day, and it's like, again, I was watching the people that grab the stuff that they grab. I don't really think there's anything in that whole store that you should eat.
There's nothing good for you
Like
in there.
nothing.
I mean, even the pizza tastes great, but it's super greasy.
yeah.
I think you can come up with some jerky in there.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
You got to bring your checkbook to haul that out of there. But there's some meat sticks that you guys sell here that are absolutely, or no, is it here or is it next door?
Next door. Yeah.
Next door.
Yeah.
They are phenomenal. They are real. I mean, this is a great on the go snack. But again, I recommend meal prep and just have something cooked in the fridge. if you're making something, make a bunch of it. And I tell people that all the time. They'll be like buying something for me on a holiday week, and they're like, wow, I'm getting all this food. It's like, hey, this is a 3-day weekend. Like, you're gonna have to make this into something else. I tell people that all the time too. You make a protein for a meal. Well, then you got leftovers of it. Make tacos. Make a breakfast skillet with eggs. Steak and eggs, brisket. It all goes really well in eggs the next morning. So
No,
there's other ways to repurpose this, and I really I think that jazzes it up for folks too. I
right.
mean, it makes a different something. So it stretches further as well.
Question for you, Doc. You've been with him throughout this whole journey. Like,
I what now?
have
Say,
you been with him throughout this whole journey?
yeah. I mean, we see each other actually at barbecues. I've seen.
Oh, parts, yeah. There's normally some events on the
Yeah,
weekends
I
where
mean, there's the Cahola crowd, and he's cooked for them lots and lots and
Yeah.
lots. So yeah, we stay up. He's so healthy these days. I really don't get to see him much for being sick, and that for you and your family too. It really does. A good diet really does help you stay healthy.
So
So
how do you feel knowing that you had some small part in this?
well, I mean that really is what does it for me. If you got something that works,
Yeah.
and you want to share it with the world. It's like, guys, this is you. Let's get healthy. Let's get healthy. I get excited about it. This story makes me feel really good about me, and I know it's not about me, but it's about watching people live longer, healthier lives. And honestly, I think you had resigned yourself to the fact that you're just not going to live very long and you weren't going to be very healthy and this and that. But now, look at this guy.
Yeah.
You know, it's that's huge.
I think I was calling you about once a week, something, because there would be something I was constantly wanting to bounce off. I mean, like, so there for about 6 months. Yeah, you're probably getting sick of me because it was just like, this guy again. Like, really? I mean, but I finally got very concerned because, again, I did spend about 6, 8 months just kind of like, I don't want to find out what's going on with me because it's a diagnosis I'm not going to like, I'm
And,
sure.
and then and then we did kind of have the come to Jesus talk a little bit, and it's like, dude,
It took
you
me
got to
about a
get
month
healthy.
after that too, because I kind of dabbled around with it. I was taking my meds, and I was just kind of like, I'll come around this. It'll be all right. And I really wasn't making any change. I was taking the medicine. I had cut out alcohol at the time. I wasn't making any difference for me though, health wise. I was still just eating, and then it was like, this is where it is. And now, and after I got where I was going, it's been relatively easy to
And when that
maintain.
light bulb comes on, it's really hard to shut off. And then that's where I feel like I am too. It's like once the light bulb comes on, it's like, gosh, we don't need big pharma. We don't need this. We need diet and exercise. I mean, that's
That's how
kind of
people did it for how many years? There was not a thing. It's the money in the long run. It's actually, the expense is greatly reduced on you
right.
and your family. There is
Well,
just
you want to make your health span equal your lifespan. I mean, you think about the health span of individuals and how long, and if they're not healthy and they end up at my age at 62 in a nursing home, I got friends of mine that are in nursing homes right now. And, it's like, then you're on the system and that system just charges and charges and charge. And whereas like in the blue zone countries, people that live to 120, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, they live to 112, 100, whatever. And then their health span goes away and they die.
Yeah.
You don't take care of them for years and years and years and years in a nursing home. And the whole healthcare system is set up around this model. The home health for people that can't get around. They're too heavy to walk. They're too this or that. The nursing
The
homes, all
nursing
of that
home.
stuff.
Nursing home. My goal is not to ever have to go to a nursing home and die happy. Doing something I love. But yeah, I've been in a lot of nursing homes, and they're just so depressing, and everybody in there is depressed.
Right.
I don't see my grandma. We had to put her in one. She was 96, and it was just a last resort. We couldn't take
Mhm.
care of her, but she lasted less than a year in that nursing home, and yeah, she was miserable.
But the healthcare system is dependent on you being unhealthy.
Yeah,
So, to me, the whole thing, I hate to be a conspiracy guy, but the food industry, the health industry, it's not about health.
yeah,
It's
for
not about
sure.
wellness. It's about sickness. And it's like, oh, you're sick, we can do this for you. Oh, you're
Yeah,
sick, we can do this for you. Oh, you're sicker, we can do this for you. Well, at some point, it's like, what about health? And so I mean, again, I hate to sound like a broken record, but stories like this
yeah,
make me have much more confidence in healthcare.
yeah. My mom is on Medicare, and she switched to switched companies, and she needs physical therapy, and they're denying her right now. So she's switching back to another one. Like, why did you switch? You should have stayed where you're at, But she can't get to the gym like she's been wanting to. That good on her for after my dad passed away, she started going to the gym and taking care of herself, and now she had some back pains, and she's stuck waiting for insurance to approve her physical therapy, and that's crazy.
Yeah. And why should insurance companies have that much power?
What? Yeah, if you need
It's,
it,
if you're a doctor and you order it, that was one of the, when I was in the conventional system,
yeah,
that was one of the things that would really chap my hide was when you said, "Oh yeah, we need to get an MRI." Oh, I can't get an MRI. Why? How can you that has had no medical background tell me as a physician that's seen the patient that they don't need an MRI?
it doesn't make sense because they have no medical degree,
Right. Right.
and they're not there with the patient, and
Right.
yeah, everything in the health field is seems
But
to
if
be a
you could have a
scam.
bunch of Owens out there just ringing the bell and saying, "Hey, man,
Hey, yeah,
look at this."
get healthy.
And again, I mean, the carnivore diet is real and it works. And I think I kind of explained the physiology behind it. So basically, it's protein and fats, and you're starting to metabolize fats, which cause ketones, which instead of using sugar, and you don't ever get your body doesn't make extra ketones. Okay.
Mm-mm.
So you use all your ketones, and your brain actually metabolizes quite a bit more than you think, almost as much as your thighs. So the ketones actually feed that, causes BDNF, which improves the brain function. So yeah, I mean that's the physiology behind it. But gosh, you can have little variants on that. You can have the keto diet, you can have the paleo diet, you can have, but stick with something and stay away from processed foods. Would you not agree with me on this?
There's multiple ways to skin the cat.
Yeah,
There's not any one path that I would say. I mean, there's just different ways to get to the same goal. And yeah, the processed foods is just that's the worst.
And how cool is it to see your dad getting healthy?
My mom has done it as well, and it's done better. It's done good things for. It's just I cannot recommend it enough because and then you get done at the end of the day and you're like, man, we ate really good today. Like it was 5-star dinner. I mean, and it was just a regular day. It wasn't anything special. It was just what you did that day,
Yeah.
and it doesn't have to be fancy either. I mean, I've had some really good, you know, breakfast for dinner, fried eggs and, some kind of meat. And it was excellent. And it wasn't anything fancy, you know,
You can put brisket in anything, right?
you can put it in
you can.
eggs. I've done it. Yeah, it works. You put it, we make an all brisket, a chili that there's no beans in it. It is all meat, brisket, chopped brisket and sausage. And then there's as many vegetables as I ever eat in anything I
Right.
mean, it is a laundry list of it. And it is an excellent, really hearty meal that, um, I'm like trying to think of in there
You'll
what
have to
what
give me that recipe.
what in here is bad for you
Right.
because it was tomatoes and peppers and onions and it's just it's excellent. It's simmered on the I mean you put it in a crock pot, you simmer it on the smoker all day. Another just really nice different thing.
That's awesome.
And on top of the carnivore diet, you are doing the intermittent fasting. It's
I
depend.
intermittent fast every day. I probably do 3 to 4 24-hour fasts a week where I
Okay.
will just, I won't like, and it normally I gear it around my schedule because what is this going to be easy? It's really easy if you're busy. Like you've got a busy night, like eat a really good lunch and it's like we'll worry about this tomorrow. And when I get up in the morning, I am not hungry.
Yeah.
That's a symptom. I think I is it to do with blood sugar or
It
something?
is. It
I
is.
get up in
It's
the morning, I would have to force myself to eat when I first get now 11. There's something about my brain that 11 o'clock hits. I am hardwired like it is lunchtime. I mean, and I can push through it if I'm really busy. And I prefer to do that because I prefer to take an evening meal because it's just you wrap up the day. And then it's pretty much I call that it's like that's the end of my day. After supper time, day's over. We are just going to relax and enjoy the evening.
Yeah, and
Um,
intermittent fasting actually decreases your insulin level. Okay, and we talked about how bad insulin was, and increases your glucagon, right? Which glucagon's now one of the things that they're using along with semaglutide and stuff like that to kind of decrease your appetite. But I mean, in the intermittent fasting, it gets rid of all the bad cells. It decreases your uh, insulin level, decreases your fat level. Intermittent fasting
A-
is really the bomb.
And it grows stem cells.
Yeah, and it grows stems. Yeah, I
Yeah.
forgot about that.
Yeah.
Growth hormone and stem cells.
Growth hormone and stems.
Yeah,
So
that's the easiest place to start is the
yeah.
intermittent fasting. And, breakfast really was not a meal for many, what we came up with it in the last, it was a way to sell more meat. And it was introducing a third meal of the day. And I know I love breakfast food as much as anybody out there. I
Mhm.
mean, it's absolutely fantastic, but it's just, and say you cut out a different one, but just intermittent fasting, 12 to 4, I mean, 12 to 16 hours, I would say, somewhere in that
Well,
range
what I tell people to do is initially skip breakfast,
is,
right?
yeah.
And then you kind of go through your morning. Most people are busy in the mornings, and then so you skip breakfast, and then you've gone from 6 p.m. the night before to 6 a.m., which is 12 hours, and then you go on to lunch, and so then that's a 16-hour fast. That's kind of a good thing, and then push it back to dinner. So then they go to the OMAD, one meal a day, and
That's when it
that's
really,
when it really kicks in and things get really good and it's
and,
good for you.
and I will say this, you look forward to it. It's you appreciate it more in the time as well because you're looking forward to it. Whatever it is, it's like
Right.
it's on the calendar. You're not gonna miss it. It is and it's just I hate to say that it's easier for me because I can plan my day around what I'm cooking because that's what I do all day, every day.
Right.
It's easier for me, it's like I could see if you had to go to a real job,
Right.
it might be more difficult, but I plan my day around it. I look forward to it, and I tell people that they sh- it,
After how long doing this did you, I mean, like for me, I intermittent fast. And I don't really crave breakfast anymore at all. But I trying to think, was it 3 or 4 weeks, through a month? How long is it until it's like, I skipped breakfast now, I skipped lunch? How long is it till you can really get to that one meal a day?
so I had intermittent fasted, off and on for years, but I would just eat horrendously in between. I would
Right.
snack. I wouldn't
Right.
just, it wouldn't just be, I would skip breakfast all the time.
Okay.
And that was, but it was probably about a month into fasting that I was like, man, one meal a day, we could do this right. And it worked out well because I would eat I was working a lot of night shifts at the time. So I would eat a late lunch, a really good lunch. And then I would work through the evening and I would be so busy that it wouldn't take the time. You couldn't hardly enjoy a meal working a shift somewhere
Right.
anyway. And then by the time I got home, that was where I would fall into the trap before that I would eat big at 11 o'clock midnight, eat till I was full. Like I had to roll me back to the bedroom because
Right.
and then it's just, you cut that out. And if you ate the right meal, it was easy to get away with. And I would try to do something that was good and I would look forward to it.
Good. Good.
Yeah, it was easy for me when I was intermittent fasting on midnights when I was working overnights
Oh,
because your body doesn't feel like eating when you're supposed to be sleeping.
I've served we'll serve some of the factories here in town, and I've noticed that as well. We'll serve all three shifts. The 11 a.m. shift, they come to eat. They are
Yeah.
hungry, but you're there at 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, you're going to have groceries just
Yeah.
because they're not going to eat this. People don't eat the same in the middle of the night. I
No.
mean, that's just at least what I've noticed.
Yeah.
Um,
Last time I was doing on overnights, I was doing the intermittent fasting with the carnivore diet, and I would stop eating. Um, I would get up around 2, start cooking, and then I would have a meal, and then I would stop eating for the rest of the day. I'd start my fast. So I mean, I would eat big enough that I didn't need to eat the whole 4 hour window,
mhm,
But if I did, I could, for 2 hours later, I needed to eat. I would, I still had 2 hours before I had to shut
mhm,
it down. But it was a lot easier for me on overnights. I don't know why, but now that I'm on days, it seems a little bit more challenging for me to do the carnivore and the intermittent fasting. I think the intermittent fasting is a little bit easier for me because I don't have to prepare a whole lot.
mhm.
But it's you definitely do notice the results right away if you're doing it right. If you're not doing it right, then it's just you're gonna plateau. But yeah, if you're eating healthy and it's nice.
And one of the other things that you said about my problem with working overnights is next morning you're famished, you
Yeah.
know,
Mhm.
and it's like no food available or whatever, and you're famished, and then you eat that huge breakfast or that huge meal before you went to bed, and
And it all goes to fat.
that's bad. It all goes to fat. The blood sugar gets up, the insulin puts it into your cells as fat, and there you are.
I
Yeah.
would get home, and we would often we would make we make tacos real regular, but I would absolutely douse them in hot sauce. So I would come home and douse my dinner at midnight in hot sauce, and then go to bed and lay down. And no wonder I started having trouble.
Right.
But
No
that
wonder
was
you
it.
had ulcers.
Yeah, I couldn't figure out. I was like, man, this pain right up here. And again, don't get on Google and look up what it is
No.
because you are dying
Yeah.
every time. I mean, I've looked up everything and it's just like, quit
Doctor
doing this.
Doctor Google's not.
The
Yeah, it's
WebMD.
just,
Yeah.
The
yeah.
first 10 things it's not good.
Right.
Not one of them is not one of them. The prognosis is bleak at best.
Right.
Get your will together.
Yeah,
You don't got much time.
I was it was a
And
27.
then that's the click. That's the extra click. Is after
Yeah.
you read about that, it's like get your will here. Yeah, that's
I came in here with a few out there theories, and you were like, no, you're not. Yeah, because I was like, is this liver failure? Is this, or he was like, no, there'd be a lot more problems going on if you
Yeah,
had that. I was,
right.
because that was the first thing that came up.
right.
And
That's crazy. My wife does it all the time. She's like, "Oh my God, I got cancer." I'm like,
oh
"No, you
yeah,
don't."
it's always cancer.
Well, and I just I think that I don't know. I mean, all the commercials or a lot of the commercials, et cetera, et cetera. Oh, you may die if you don't control your blood pressure. Or you may die if running people on scared all the time increases your cortisol, makes it's really bad for you. And we're running on that, just
Yeah.
all the time.
Now imagine if they said you may die if you don't work out.
Oh, I know.
How
And
fit
that,
we would be,
I mean, yeah. Or if you eat whole foods,
Yeah.
you're gonna live forever.
Yeah.
Or if you eat whole foods and work out, you
Yeah.
will live forever. Or
Yeah.
the fountain of youth is diet and exercise.
Yeah.
It's the truth.
But they can't make money on that. So
Yeah.
we're stuck in this enslavement of big pharma and
Big pharma is scaring us to death
big
about
foods.
gonna
and-
die.
Yeah.
And don't think that big pharma doesn't have a little bit to do with Google as well.
Yeah,
Exactly.
they've
Well-
got their pockets are deep enough. I think
Yeah.
there's not much they can influence.
Right.
Yeah. We saw that with the COVID, how they
Yeah.
influenced the information coming out from COVID. It's just crazy.
Yeah, which is a whole nother podcast.
Yeah, that was
I never. That's one thing. I never stopped my day to day. COVID never affected me. I don't think. It was just I had to deal with what was going on around me, but we just went on down the road and just kept doing exactly what we were doing. It never.
Not
Yeah.
me. It changed my life. Actually, that's why I opened this up. Is just because I saw all
Oh,
the
I guess that's
bad,
it.
not even misinformation, just flat lies that they were trying to sell the public. And it's like, man, I can't be a part of that system anymore.
We dealt with it too. I mean, people were like,
Right.
if you don't see if you see somebody with mask, tell them to put it on. I'm like, no, not doing that.
Right.
The rules that came down from highly educated people just baffled me because I'm like, we're freaking out over a virus that has a 99% survival rate. Why are we shutting things down?
Well, and then they did. I mean, things that I can't not say this because um, then they had things like um, Kansas decided that we were going to do CPR, but we weren't going to intubate people. Okay, so they just kind of came down with this blanket rule: if somebody with COVID comes in and if somebody dies, you can press on their chest, but you can't breathe for them.
Hmm.
Okay. And so I come to work the very next day, and all of a sudden somebody comes in with a code, and it's like, well, you're not allowed to intubate him. You're not allowed to. And it's like, you just press on his chest. So I checked with KDHE. The rule came down from KDHE at the time. And so I just got on the phone and called KDHE and asked to talk to the head guy.
Yeah.
Right. And I said, have you ever done CPR before? Because when you're pressing on somebody's chest,
They're blowing out air.
they're blowing stuff out their mouth like you wouldn't believe. I
Yeah.
mean, at least if you have a mask on or if you intubate them, it's at least kind of contained a
Yeah.
little bit. He says, well, no, I can't think that. I don't think I've ever, maybe back. And I said, so, what's your qualifications? Which probably was not, yeah, I don't know. That's just me, the cowboy.
Hmm.
So, what are your qualifications? He said, well, I was a nursing home doctor in a small town in Kansas for multiple years, and we never did any codes there.
What?
So, what are you doing telling me that I can't, that I can do chest compressions versus, I mean, that was one of the rules
Yeah.
that came down in Kansas. It's like, and just one day they decided that this guy that never done CPR on a patient in his life makes this rule. Sorry.
unbelievable.
I know that's quite an aside, but
But I mean, it
I
just
got in
goes.
trouble for that, by the way.
Oh, it just goes to show you the stupid rules that came out. The essential businesses, strip clubs and liquor stores, churches have to be closed down.
Right.
Schools have to be closed down. Gyms,
Crazy.
gyms have to be closed down.
Crazy.
You know,
All the things that would help you.
yeah, yeah,
Community with the church, the exercise, all
yeah.
that stuff. It was crazy.
Well, and they shut down at the wrong time. We were shut down in March, April, May timeline. The
Yeah.
time that we really should have been, probably staying away from each other in all any time of the year it was November, December, January, but we'd cried wolf.
Right.
And it was like, I remember, I was out and about at a local establishment, and it was in December, and I thought, well, good thing COVID doesn't exist in here because it was packed.
Right.
And I thought to myself, well, I guarantee you everybody in here isn't too concerned about it.
Right.
But I can remember that time. It's hard to believe we lived through that. It was just, it's
Well, and I think one of the roughest times I've had a few in my lifetime, but roughest time in my medical career.
All right, guys.
it's all good.
The roughest time in my medical career, but I thank God for that time because that's what pushed me to do this. And if I hadn't done this, I wouldn't have this. Like
There's-
again, you warm my heart just to see what you've done with your life and what you've done with your health. Yeah, and so that pushed me to go that extra mile.
And I could do better than I do. There's probably more I could do but I like where I'm at, and I feel good about it every day. And I'm really happy to share it with people.
Good.
This is what you need to do. I don't think it's daunting to think about. It's not easy, but once you get going down the path, it gets easy. And it is for me now. I don't think anything about it.
I agree.
And I think what it did for us was like you coming out of the traditional medical system is a good thing, but it also woke up a lot of other people. You know, they're like that never again. That's not going to happen again. You know, hopefully, God forbid it ever happens again. But I'm glad how people woke up to what the government and the media has done to us.
Right. And I can't believe there's as many still establishment doctors that haven't can't see this. I can't believe it, but
Yeah,
it is what it is. I mean, big pharma, all that um, puts out the textbooks,
yeah.
puts out uh, insurance companies put out the textbooks and all that stuff, and now everybody's. I feel like a lot of people go to med school and get brainwashed.
That's
That's
too bad.
college in general.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
That could
That
be
is
college in general.
that is
okay.
true.
I don't disagree with that either.
Yeah. We need to get back to the time where people were allowed to think for themselves and question everything.
Right.
So,
Well, that's a wrap from Out of Network and Into Wellness. It's our fourth podcast. And thank you, Owen, so much for coming on. Thank you, Kenny, for all you do. Um, and we'll see you next time.